How's it going, YouTube? Welcome back. Today we are going to be changing the wheel bearing on a truck. It'll be a little bit different than most of the content I've been posting lately, but this is what I look like before I start, just so you know how dirty we're going to get. So let's jump right into it. All right, first thing you want to do is you want to break these things loose. Whoever put these things on, why? Just why, man? I think we'll be good there. All right. Next steps, we're gonna jack up the truck. Here's how you test if it is a wheel bearing that's bad. I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear this, but when you spin the wheel, you hear that? That little soft grinding noise? That's how you know wheel bearing's bad. The other way I know is when I'm driving down the road, this thing hums really, really bad. And it hums worse when you're turning left or turning right, and it's a little bit better when you're turning left. I already swapped out the other side. You're supposed to switch these at the same time, so I've already swapped one side yesterday. I did my patented pull bolts out until the thing falls out, so now I know what I'm doing. So if you're ever confused what to do, just start pulling stuff out, and when it falls apart, you know that you did it right. So, all right, let's get these wheels off. This job doesn't require any special tools, but they sure make it easier. Honey, let go of the truck. Trigger control. All right, so I really like to keep track of all my stuff. So what I do is I just put them in a pile right here. And we just put all the parts right there in a pile, and then we'll never lose track of anything. There's the wheel. All right, so this is your brake right here. This is your brake caliper. And then this part right here in the center is your wheel hub. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take your brake caliper off. This is your brake caliper. Take all your brake assembly off, take your brake caliper off, and then remove this. If this one's anything like the other side, it did not want to come off. And I just ended up taking the whole bearing off, but we'll get to that. I'll show you what to do if your brake caliper doesn't come off. So let's get to taking this part. First things first, 2 big bolts on the back side. You want to take the big ones that are holding the entire assembly onto the frame. I believe I have a tool for that. I think these things were 24s. So take a wrench. What I like to do is take a wrench and take a hammer. I'm gonna put it on there. And then we're just gonna tap right at the base. You wanna tap at the base because if you tap at the top, there's a lot of flex in these wrenches. So you can get a lot more power if you tap down at the base, even though you get more leverage at the top. All right, yeah. Broken loose. This truck is a northern truck, unfortunately, before I bought it. So it is very rusted. Let's go find some lube. All right, so it's like I always say, if something's not coming off, more force, more lube, gets it off every time. So, and like everything I own, of course it doesn't have a cap on it, so I just go ahead and hit it. Just spray it right on there. So especially this big nut right here, that one's gonna be a pain to get off. This episode is brought to you by Papa Ron, or also known as Ronnie Baby. Thanks for the tools, Ron. I'm sorry for about how I'm gonna treat these tools. but I appreciate them. Anyway, let's get back to beating.
A few moments later.
Hey, there we go. See, working on your own cars is more fun than it is hard. It's a great time. You should try it. You should really learn some skills because it's fun. There she goes. All right, so I don't know if you guys can see this. These are the ones we're removing. So this one right here. Don't pull this one out. You want this one right here. And then on the bottom, it's this one right here. So those are the two that we're removing. You pull those two, and sorry, my microphone's falling off. And the whole thing's gonna come right off, whole brake. So the other thing you want is you want some kind of approved way to hold your brake assembly. And for me, that's gonna be one of these jack stands right here, because that's, you know, kind of approved, whatever, don't matter. All right, again, take your bolt, throw it in the pile. It'll probably be there. Yeah, there we go. All right, all right, see, it's just that easy, folks. Bolt goes in the pile. We don't ever think about it again. Now, want to make sure we pop these little brackets holding this wire harness on, just so we can move the brake without ripping them. It's not going to matter. These are all part of the hub assembly, and they get replaced with the hub anyway. But all right, break those loose a little bit, give you some slack in there. And then this thing, some people say pry the pads back so you reset the calipers and all that. I don't do it. Just pull it off me, just rip it off. All right, and then you want to set that so that it's leaned up against something, so it's not hanging off the cable. You're not putting tension on your line. Probably use something a little bit better than a jack stand, but that's what I got, so that's what I'm using. There you go. Just want to set that off to the side, and now your brake pad can actually come off, or your brake caliper can come off. I don't know if I'm saying that right or not. I don't really care. Your brake thing, the big disc thingy, can come off. Now, people say you can just, like, you know, hit these things back and forth and, oh, they come right off. Okay, whatever. Mine don't. They don't come off. They say you can tap it with a hammer. Don't hit this part with a hammer. Right here. You don't want to hit the smooth part. You want to hit the actual hub part. They say, oh, no, tap it with a hammer and it comes right off every time. It does not come right off every time. Yeah, it doesn't come off. So I'm going to show you how I do it. And for that, we're just going to go ahead and remove the entire hub. For the center one, I'm sure it's not the right size, but I'm using a 1 5/16. I think everything on this truck is millimeters, but you know, this one fits. So now I will say, you don't need a lot of special tools for this. This is one where having an impact makes a huge difference. I mean, I've tried to take these off by hand before. They're horrible. Impacts take these things right off usually. So take that, hook it up to your impact. And that's why using an impact makes such a difference. Look at that, right off. Straight into the hardware pile. All right, so that's one. Now, on the back of these hubs, there are 4 bolts that we gotta take off, and I'll see if I can show that to you. So, back here, they're in all the corners. There's one right there, where my middle finger's at, right there. There's one down here. There's 2 on the other side. And we just pop those things off. Now I actually have the right wrench size for that. I just gotta find it again. Yeah, 18 millimeter. So take that. gonna need this extension and a big old breaker bar. And you can hit these with PB Blaster. I think these come off pretty easy if I remember correctly. Oh yeah, coming right off. There's one. Put it down. There you go. There's two. There she goes. There's three. Oh yeah. There we go. All right, they're all broken loose. Go ahead, swap over the ratchet. There's one. All right, 2, 3. There's 4. Off to the pile. All right, now we're gonna pull this wheel hub, just one assembly. The best way I know how to do that is 2 ways. Leverage, which, don't hate me, I'm gonna put it right here, and we're gonna pry out, start working this thing off. Yeah, you're really gonna have to pry, especially if it's like mine. All right, spin it a little bit, get a little bit different angle on it. And start working it off. Make sure you get down here at the bottom too. I'm basically just alternating, prying on the top point where the brake hooks up, prying on the bottom where the brake hooks up. I'm just moving back and forth. And it's coming, it's working its way off slowly but surely. Just take your time, don't rush through this. And try not to damage your wheel hub or your braking at all. There she goes. All right, I think we're loose. Feel loose. Now, before we pull this off, we want to make sure we get this wiring harness off. So it's just a bunch of little clips that follow it around, back behind the strut, up the line. Want to make sure you get all those off. There's new clips that come with the wheel bearing, so don't be too concerned about breaking these. Here's the wiring harness right here. Goes like this, around, up, and into this, and then right back here, you'll see that clip right here. There's going to be a little red indicator on the back side. You're not able to see it, but we're just going to take that clip out, and then we're going to pop that thing loose. Let's see if we can get it. If I can get it one-handed. All right, there's the red clip. Underneath it is going to be a little flange. Just push that in, pull straight down. If I can get it one-handed, there we go. All right, that's the wiring harness. Now, back to get this thing off. So everything's off, everything's loose. What we want to do now is just grab this and pull straight out. Try not to damage any of the flange when you're pulling it. All right, gently take that off. All right. This thing's heavy, folks. So take it nice and slow. Get that wiring harness out. There you go. It's all one assembly right now. We're gonna have to go break this thing loose. Let's switch over and go do that. And I'll show you how to get this thing out. All right, this is what I like to call percussive maintenance. What we're gonna do is we're gonna gently tap this portion, the center portion right here, tap the hub out of our wheel brake assembly. We've got it sitting up on a piece of wood, protect the wheel, and it's got a little bit of space underneath. So you just wanna gently tap this thing out. So, all right, Let's see if we're loose. And there you go, folks. We're gonna push that out of the way. We're gonna leave our wheel sitting, our brake sitting here for a second while we get the rest of it cleaned up and ready. All right, so one part of doing any kind of maintenance, especially on a vehicle you intend to own for a long time, make sure everything's clean when you put it back. When you're just putting back dirty stuff, first of all, it's not gonna seat right. You're gonna have issues in the future trying to get it off. Just take a little wire brush, something, and go ahead, hit the whole thing, get it cleaned up. All right, well, we got that cleaned up. Let's go clean up the rest of the wheel hub. Some anti-seize and some grease, and you're just going to coat any of the surfaces like this where it's going to slide on. You want to coat that with grease. You probably coat this with grease too. It's not going to hurt it. And then I would put anti-seize all around here, and then on the mating surfaces. This is just so that next time you take it off, it'll actually come off without having to beat it off like we just did. The grease, this stuff will cause instant death in the state of California. Make sure you're using gloves. Now we're just going to take anti-seize, coat all the mating surfaces with it. All right, let's go get the wheel up. So it says, make sure you don't use an impact. We're not going to listen to that. Doesn't give you any torques. Thanks, appreciate it. Now, you want to be careful with this, not to drop it or anything. Before you install, make sure you get your wiring harness unwrapped. Wiring lead comes out the top. So this is the top of your bearing right here. It's gonna run up underneath the heat shield right here. Before we do that though, we're gonna coat this thing with grease and anti-seize as well. Some of you might be thinking this is a lot of anti-seize, and you're probably right. I don't like stuff that doesn't want to come off, so we want to run this wiring harness up underneath the heat shield. So go ahead and slide that on there for just temporarily. Actually, we'll wait to do that. We'll get this thing on at least most of the way. You gotta kind of work it back and forth, find the groove, and then it should just slide right on. There you go. Just like that. Now, go ahead, slide this up underneath the heat shield. Kind of got a little groove right there that you want to slide under. And then we can start taking the hardware. And again, hardware, put a little bit of anti-seize on them, on the threads. Go ahead and rub that in a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just going to help it not stick so much. And run that on through. One little mechanic trick that you always want to do: don't ever tighten everything until you have all your bolts at least threaded in. All right. Those are all cinched down. What I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna run it around with a brick bar. I'm gonna really cinch those things down so that they're nice and snug. We're gonna do that in a crisscross pattern. So we're gonna do this top one, we're gonna do the bottom one, top one, bottom one, something like that. There's some torque on these, I assume, but you know, whatever. Torque's for nerds. As long as you're going about 1/8 past a turn when you feel sharp rise in torque, they ain't coming out. Next, we're gonna go ahead and throw this nut on. Now these should be torqued, but again, I don't have torque for them. It doesn't say in the box. And honestly, I think it's gonna be just fine. So, break a bar, you take something, tighten it up. I'm gonna do what you're not supposed to do. Use an impact. I am gonna turn it down though, so that it's not quite as strong. And then we'll just About when it stops turning, give it a couple spins. We're good to go. There's our wheel bearing all set up. Nice and tight. All right, nice and greased up. Now, let's go get the brake. Don't grease the actual tracks unless you just really hate the people that you're working for. This just goes on. Just like that. There we go. And it's gonna sit there. Now, take our brake, make sure we're not wrapping the line up or anything. It's also a good time to check the brake pads. Mine got tons of life left on them. We're all good there. Brake's all good. As you do maintenance and as you look at your truck and you're pulling things off, you always want to be looking to see what else could be wrong, just so you have a heads up and you can get stuff fixed before it becomes an issue. Line those brake pads up, slide those things on there. All right, then we take the hardware, and of course, what are we gonna do? We're gonna put some anti-seals on. You really don't need to coat the whole thing, just put it on a little dab like that, and as you thread this thing in, it's gonna spread it around. Again, I'm sure these things have some kind of torque on them. I'm sure people on the internet are gonna hate me for not torquing everything, but honestly, I'm just a working man. I don't have all these fancy tools like torque wrenches. Actually, I do have a torque wrench, but most people don't have torque wrenches, and it's not reasonable for them to have a torque wrench. So we're just doing it the way a normal, everyday American should do it. That's with your good old calibrated elbow. I've also heard this called German torque. You just make sure all these bolts are good and tight. All right, there you go. She's back together. Let's get our tire on, get this thing. Oh wait, one more thing. We gotta finish putting this harness on. Cable runs around, up, plugs in there. Make sure you reset that little red tab. There you go, all wired up. So wire runs around here, back behind, up. And it runs up the wiring harness back here, loops around, comes back to the front, goes in that hole right there, comes up, plugs in. It's too easy. Ready for the tire. So I put this thing on my shins, get my hands right here, and I just kind of lift, using my legs for leverage, and get that tire lined up, slide it on. Then you can sit here, hold it with your shins all day, take your hardware from your hardware pile, and don't worry if you've got extra hardware. When this is all said and done, if you got extra hardware, that just means that you did it better than the engineers that built the truck. So that just means you're smarter. It's also weight reduction. All good things in vehicles. There you go. Go ahead, lay your truck down nice and slow. You don't want to drop this thing, so just like that. There you go. All right, now we got this truck on the ground. Of course, you want to go around, take your breaker bar, and make sure all your lugs are tight. Again, crisscross pattern. There you go. That's it, folks. All you got left to do after this is take for a test drive, go get some ice cream, you know, go take a shower. This is the aftermath here. So, a little bit dirty. It's good for you. It keeps your juices flowing. So, get out there, start working on your own vehicles, start learning things. It's not hard. If you like the video, go ahead and like, subscribe. We got more work coming on the big truck. We're gonna be swapping out the transmission here pretty quick, as soon as I get enough money to buy me a transmission. So thanks for watching, guys. Go ahead and like the video if you liked it, and we'll see you guys in the next one.